According to the Bible, Adam and Eve were the first humans and had 3 known children: Cain, Abel, and Seth. But an interesting question arises about how the human population grew from them. For example, in the Book of Genesis, it is mentioned that Cain had a wife and with her a son named Enoch, and even named a city in his honor. This raises a question. Where did this wife of Cain come from? Could she have been one of Adam and Eve's daughters who are not directly mentioned in the Bible? In this video, we will explore more about the daughters of Adam and Eve, their identities, and the reason why the Bible does not talk much about them. These figures may have been crucial for the expansion of humanity. The Bible mainly focuses on Cain and Abel, but in Genesis 5, verse 4, it states that Adam and Eve had more sons and daughters. This suggests that there were other important members in the family who contributed to human history. Let's dive deeper into this genealogy to better understand. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. The Bible pays more attention to the accounts of Cain and Abel, but there are other sons and daughters of Adam and Eve who are less mentioned. This lack of details about them can cause their stories and contributions to humanity to remain hidden. By exploring these lesser-known narratives, we discover a diversity of experiences lived by these descendants. This enriches our understanding of how humanity evolved and shows the complexity of the relationships and life paths of each character. Each of the sons and daughters, even though not being the main focus of the scriptures, played a unique and important role in the expansion of humanity. It is interesting to note that Jewish and Christian traditions often focus on more dramatic narratives, leaving aside some lesser-known stories. The absence of the names of some of Adam and Eve's daughters in the Bible might be one of the reasons they are mentioned less, causing these characters to remain in the shadows of figures such as Cain and Abel. Of course, it is understandable that the Bible does not delve into the details of each character's life, given the challenge of covering a wide range of events from the creation of the world. In this context, there are texts like the Book of Jubilees. Although it is not officially recognized in the main religious traditions, this book provides additional information about lesser-known characters, such as the daughters of Adam and Eve, expanding our understanding of the lineage of the first human couple. It is important to highlight that the Book of Jubilees is considered apocryphal, meaning it is not included in the official canon of Jewish or Christian scriptures, mainly due to doubts about its origin and because its interpretations may differ from those traditionally accepted. Although the Book of Jubilees is not part of the traditional biblical canon, its historical value is undeniable. This text explores in more detail many episodes briefly mentioned in the Book of Genesis, from the creation of the world to specific aspects of the lives of Adam, Eve, and other characters. Also known as Little Genesis, it closely connects to the accounts of Genesis, but goes further, offering more details about stories and even naming daughters of Adam and Eve, providing perspectives not found in the common Bible. These details are particularly valued by certain Jewish and Christian communities seeking a deeper understanding of the sacred texts of the Old Testament. When exploring the Book of Jubilees to identify the daughters of Adam and Eve, we find Quelima and Azura, who married Cain and Seth, respectively. While the Book of Genesis describes Cain settling in the land of Nod and building a city named Enoch in honor of his son, the Book of Jubilees provides more details, identifying Quelima, also known as Avan, as Cain's wife. This information is not mentioned directly in the Bible, but appears in the apocryphal texts. The name Quelima or Avan, which may have roots in Hebrew or Phoenician, carries meanings that include addiction or potency, suggesting the possible influence or significant role she had in her descendants and in the story of Adam and Eve. On the other hand, the meaning of addiction associated with the name Avan might reflect the challenges faced by her and Cain during difficult periods of their lives. After being exiled for murdering Abel, Cain met Avan. According to the Bible, he founded and named the city of Enoch in honor of his son, a feat also highlighted in the Book of Jubilees as a major achievement of Cain after his conflict with Abel. Avan, when mentioned alongside Cain, emerges as a central figure in the continuation of his lineage and plays a crucial role in important moments in history. Although the biblical texts do not provide much detail about Cain's wife, it is clear that in the Genesis account covering the period from Cain's crime to his encounter with Avan, only a few figures are mentioned, such as Adam, Eve, Abel, and Seth. It is important to highlight that when Cain joined Avan, there were already other people living on the earth besides the immediate family members of Adam and Eve, indicating that a broader population was already established and expanding at that time. Some theories suggest that Cain's wife could have been one of his nieces, a daughter of Seth. This hypothesis is based on the long period that separates Cain's exile in the land of Nod and his eventual meeting with Avan, which some scholars estimate to be about 300 years. During this interval, Adam and Eve would have had more than 50 children and Seth more than 20. At that early time in humanity, marriage among close relatives such as siblings and nieces was a common practice due to the limited population diversity which still stemmed from a single couple. When it came time for Cain to choose a wife, there were many sisters and nieces available, which facilitated the selection of a partner within his own family. This custom of marrying close relatives persisted for quite some time. The Bible maintains that all human beings are descendants of Adam and Eve, ruling out the possibility of other origins for humanity. This is reaffirmed in Acts 17, verse 26, where it reads, "From one, God made all mankind to inhabit the whole earth, having established the appointed times and the exact places where they should live." This perspective helps us understand what family relationships were like in the early times of humanity, when it was common for brothers and nieces to marry each other, since they all descended from the same initial couple. It is important to note that the restrictions on marriage among close relatives were established much later, approximately 2,500 years after Adam and Eve, through the Mosaic Law. These rules were introduced during the covenant with Moses to establish moral and ethical principles for the Israelites. The prohibition of sexual relations among relatives was formalized only when the population grew large enough to make such unions impractical and potentially harmful, aiming to prevent issues like genetic defects and other health complications resulting from consanguineous relationships. In the Book of Jubilees, we also find the story of Azura, described as another daughter of Adam and Eve and the wife of Seth, the third child of the couple. The name Azura, evoking the blue of the sky or lapis lazuli, symbolizes a certain divine purity, highlighting her special relevance in history. Azura played a fundamental role in helping to preserve a virtuous lineage, contributing to the continuity of the fundamental moral values of biblical genealogy. It is important to highlight that Seth was born after the murder of Abel, and Eve saw Seth as a divine sign to continue the lineage after the tragic loss of Abel, who was killed by Cain. Originally, Azura was Abel's wife, and after becoming a widow, married Seth. With Seth, Azura had notable children who helped to further strengthen the lineage. Seth was crucial in the biblical genealogy, particularly after the conflicts involving Cain. His marriage to Azura was vital to ensure the continuation of a just lineage, significantly influencing the events that followed in the biblical narrative. Among the descendants of Seth, Enos stands out, whose name means fragile man, emphasizing the qualities of humanity and vulnerability within the story. Enos was a pioneer in his time for starting the practice of regularly invoking the name of the Lord, establishing a spiritual bond that became essential for future religious traditions. Another notable member of this lineage is Enoch, the son of Seth. Enoch is remembered for his extraordinarily close relationship with God, to the point that, according to the Bible, he walked with God. Celebrated for his virtuous life and intimate connection with the divine, Enoch became a model of faith, transcending the limitations of his time. He was one of the few individuals who, due to his great devotion, was taken directly into the presence of God, without experiencing death. In addition to Enoch, Noah also stands out in the lineage of Seth. Known as the righteous builder of the ark, Noah, son of Lamech, was chosen by God to preserve humanity and animal species during the flood. His obedience and faith were crucial in the biblical narrative of the flood, highlighting the importance of Seth's lineage in the divine plans for the salvation of humanity. Each member of this lineage played a vital role in the development of the human legacy, maintaining faith and justice in challenging times. Religious stories often explore the duality of human nature, as seen in the contrasting paths of Cain and Avan compared to those of Seth and Azura. Cain, the first son of Adam and Eve, follows a path filled with decisions that reflect human imperfections. In contrast, the descendants of Seth and Azura are shown more positively, making choices that align better with divine teachings. These different lineages illustrate the complexity of moral and spiritual choices and how they affect future generations. It is worth remembering that the Book of Jubilees, which tells some of these stories, is considered an apocryphal text and is not officially recognized in the main Jewish and Christian traditions. Therefore, the way the stories of the daughters of Adam and Eve are interpreted can vary greatly between different cultures and beliefs. An example of this diversity of interpretations is found in Islam. In this tradition, both Cain and Abel had a twin sister. As they grew up, each married their twin. The sisters are named Balira and Kamna in the Book of the Generations of Cedar. This family setup is seen as a source of tension that contributed to the conflict between the brothers, especially since Cain was dissatisfied with his partner. This discontent led to the tragic event in which Cain murdered Abel, a topic that can be explored more in detail in another video. I want to know your opinion. Were you aware that Adam and Eve had daughters? And regarding the Book of Jubilees, do you consider the stories contained in it as reliable? Leave your comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and click on one of the suggested videos on the screen to continue watching. Take care, and may God bless you.